Welcome to the Driving the World podcast series. I'm your host, Cully Holland. Today we have Jason Cantrell, part of our corporate training team, and he worked in electronics service for 6 years, and we'll be discussing electronics service. Hey, Jason, how are you doing today?
Hey, Cully, I'm doing pretty well.
Thank you so much for coming on. So we're going to be talking about electronics service. So let's just kind of jump into it. First of all, why would a customer prefer to send a VFD in to get serviced rather than just getting a new VFD altogether?
That's a great question, Cully. So, in the past few years, we started seeing more part shortages, and COVID-19 was not any help with that. So, with the part shortages, it's made a lot more new units be rare, kind of hard to come in, especially with our new Movi C line. So, customers have decided, well, we'll take our older stuff or stuff that they might not have, wanted to get repaired before, but we're starting to see a more influx of that. So repairs are more of an option kind of now. It's starting to kind of trickle off a little bit because we're starting to get more parts in, more units being able to go out. But for the past year or so, we've seen a really big influx for repairs.
Well, I'm glad to hear that the part shortage is kind of coming to an end, but I don't think that means repairs are going to be less needed.
Oh, no.
So if we're talking about repairs, like what level of repairs can our electronics group do and kind of like what can they handle?
Sure. So our electronics group, they're really great at evaluating and finding out exactly what's going on with the unit. They might not exactly know in full detail what caused the problem, but they're really good at giving a pretty good analysis of, hey, this is what's messed up. This is what's going to take to fix. So when it comes to what we can and can't repair, it's as simple as if a power section is completely blown, we can replace that, or if a control module is really old or it's going to just take more to repair it than replace, we can just swap out components that way. And it can get as a little bit more advanced as just replacing boards, or even really advanced as getting down into the board, doing board level repairs, replacing different little resistors, diodes, different ICs, stuff like that.
So it really sounds like you guys can just cover the gambit where it's as simple as a take one part out, put a new part in to actual board level repairs, which is very cool. So we can do the repairs. We're a fan of repairs. What is it like for a customer when they send the repair in? Like, what's the process?
We try to make it very easy and try to make them feel very well at home. I know that you can go through the EURODRIVE website and you can try to submit for a repair. I know mechanical is pretty good at doing that. We're trying to get that with electronics. The customer can reach out to us at our email at electronicservice@SEW-EURODRIVE.com. When they reach out with us, one of our coordinator will kind of get back in touch, and he'll say that you need to go and give us a PO, and we can then turn around and send an RGA number to them. It'll also have all the paperwork they need to send the unit in for repair. As soon as it comes in, as soon as we receive it, we try to get it evaluated within 48 hours so that the customer's not really waiting that long. Anything longer than a week, it's, kind of why even bother, because they probably already found another solution. So we're trying to be a very valuable solution and get them their answers that they need pretty quick, because you never know what kind of a situation the customers might be in. We've seen it as extreme as there would be somebody maybe from like Alabama or Georgia, and we're sending a unit in by courier, and they're filling out all this paperwork as the courier's bringing it up to us. So trying to make that process really easy. As long as the customer can provide us with a PO, the PO would be for a $100 valuation, and then we can get going. And then pretty much within that 48-hour period, we're able to tell you what's going on, tell you if it's worth repairing, if it's not worth repairing, what it's going to cost. And if it's a really extensive repair, we don't go ahead and repair. We want to make sure that the customer's happy with repairing it. But if it's something as simple as like, oh, there was a little bitty transistor that went out, we'll go ahead and replace that so that we can go ahead and do the rest of our job. And when it comes to evaluation, we check out everything kind of on the drive. We want to make sure that everything is functional so that there might have been one problem that the customer was having, and we don't want them to come back and say, well, hey, we had it fixed, but now we got another problem. So we want to make sure that it's just as functional as it was the day it left the plant, and that the customer ultimately is happy.
That's awesome. And just for some of our listeners, an RGA is just a returns good assessment. So not trying to throw anybody off with that. And we were talking about this $100 PO. Is that just something they're going to have to pay, and then they get it repaired or a new unit, or where does that $100 go to?
So the way that works is that's pretty much just a guarantee that when you send it in, that it's kind of like a handshake agreement of, well, I'm going to pay this and we're going to look at this. But the way that it really works is if we get the unit, we look at it and we're like, there's no problems, we can't find anything functionally wrong with it, the customer is only liable for that $100, which they've already cut a PO for, so there shouldn't be any problems. Now, when it comes to an actual repair, so let's say that I want to have to replace some more components, add a little bit of labor, the customer will we will waive the evaluation fee and we only charge the parts and labor.
Okay, so it's really just get it in the door, and then if they get a new unit or they work on this unit, then it's pretty much waived or just goes into what they're going to owe for the new unit or the repair.
Right. And then the last thing with the evaluation is if we evaluate the unit and we're like, guys, this really isn't worth repairing, or it's going to cost way too much to try to fix this than a new unit would be, we would let the customer know. And as long as they can provide proof that they're going to purchase a new unit, or maybe they already purchased a new unit and this is the one that they're wanting to see if can be repaired, then if they've already purchased a new unit that's associated with that repaired unit, we will just waive the evaluation fee.
Seems fair to me. And I guess we've been talking a lot about the repair process. So we do have our service technicians working on these. What can our customers do when sending a unit in to make the lives of the electronics techs just a little bit easier?
So the best way of trying to help these technicians is as much information as you can possibly give us, please give us. Notoriously, we will see stuff you wrote on a box where they shipped it in, or sometimes a little post-it note on the drive that'll just say, bad, doesn't work, won't do this, which sometimes that's a little bit more information than just saying bad, it won't work. So any information that the customer can give us to kind of figure out where we should start trying to troubleshoot is very valuable. Because in the sense of the drive's bad, I have no idea where to start. It's kind of like when you send your car in for repair. If the car really has like an oil leak or a radiator leak, and you just send it in to the maintenance man and he asks what's wrong, it doesn't work. Well, what doesn't work? It doesn't work. I'll come back and get you. So now the maintenance guy, he has to go and check every single thing out to find what the problem is. Not saying that we don't do all that. It's just, it makes troubleshooting a lot more easier if we kind of have a place to start.
Makes sense to me. So we've touched on a lot of electronics repair. Is there anything else you kind of want to talk about, or does that about wrap it up?
That about wraps it up. It's just, we would love to see any kind of drive come in. Don't be afraid to ask to send a drive in. We will look at pretty much anything that you would like to send in. Our range is any of the electronics products, and it also is anything that kind of has any electronic associated product with it. A lot of mechanical motors will have some electronics products that is more mechanical per se, but we're happy to look at it. Anything they want to send in, as long as it's EURODRIVE related. We do not look at other competitors' products. It's strictly EURODRIVE. But kind of touching on that, a lot of customers, from what I experienced some in the field, they don't realize we can repair our own products. So we'd much rather have it, come to us first before going to a third party, because sometimes third parties, they don't have our schematics. They don't know exactly what parts to replace. And sometimes in the instance of, well, we sent it to this third party and it worked for a month and now it's messed up. Sometimes third party damages more than fix. So most of the time we can't do anything with those.
Makes sense to me. So we want to be the primary repair location for our own units. And Jason, I really appreciate your time today. Hope to see you on here again soon.
Well, thank you, Cole. I was glad to be here.